What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Movie Scene. I'm your host, Chris Giddens, and this is the 2015 Summer Edition. Here are the top 20 movies that I watched this summer, ranked in order of my preference for them. Number 20, Tarzan. Beautiful animation, definitely worth checking out just for that, but I recommend turning the volume just all the way down, even if you're a fan of Phil Collins. There's just about 5 too many musical montages, especially at the beginning. Number 19, My Soul to Take. I enjoyed it. I admit it's not that good of a movie, but I do think it's better than its reputation. And maybe I am just a little influenced, I'm sure I am, by Craven's recent death. So I'm probably going a little too easy on it, not so critical. But regardless, I was entertained nonetheless. Number 18, Kickboxer. Yes, it has plenty of corny moments, and it holds up even less than Bloodsport, but it still takes me back. Especially Jean-Claude's drunken dance and then fight scene, both of which are epic. Plus the music is just a trip. Number 17, Wreck-It Ralph. I guess I'm in the minority, but I was kind of disappointed. I thought there would be way more old school gaming references, not that there were none, obviously. It just seemed like there were a ton of missed opportunities. Number 16, Don John. I thought it was excellent, especially the acting. There were times when I was worried that it would resort to some very predictable tropes and cliches, but I'm glad that it didn't. It's much smarter than what you might expect, even if you share my high opinion of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who also wrote and directed. Number 15, Drinking Buddies. It was cool to see a mumblecore movie with higher or more Hollywood-style production values. I was curious to see whether the cinema verite effect would hold up under the glossy finish in lieu of a more Dogma 95 effect. And it did. It was like eavesdropping on beautiful people, such as the stunning Olivia Wilde. Number 14, Spring. These guys know how to tell a story, to make a movie, and to do something new. And it contains one of the best jump scares I've seen in a long time. Not contrived or corny or cheap, but genuine. Check it out, and also check out their previous work, which is excellent, Resolution. Number 13, Inside Out. I loved it, like pretty much everyone else, and it would rank higher on a list of mine that was just looking at standalone quality. Time will tell if it holds up with repeated viewings. I expect it will, and I look forward to seeing it again. And again. And again. And again. My son is 7. Number 12, Minions. I admit it's not as good a movie as some ranked on the list below it, but I laughed nonstop for the first 20 or 30 minutes straight. My face was soaked with happy tears, and I wasn't the only one like that in the audience. Plus, it has one of the best soundtracks that money can buy. Number 11, It Follows. The beginning was excellent, so good that I watched the opening scene immediately after I finished the movie the first time, and then I watched it again the next day. Plus, the score was very unique and complemented the weird, out-of-time feel of the entire movie. Number 10, Ant-Man. The best superhero movie of 2015, although that's not really saying much. Last year's Guardians of the Galaxy was applauded for being so fun, and I actually enjoyed Ant-Man more so in that regard. Much of that is due to Paul Rudd, who can do no wrong in my book. Number 9, Red Eye. It took me 10 years to finally watch this one, and I don't really know why I put it off other than just life happening, but it was worth the wait. It never drags, and that's due in large part to the excellent performances of Murphy and McAdams, who is just straight up radiant. Number 8, Casino. I think there might be a tendency to overforgive some of its sloppiness, such as the bad editing at times, including the how the hell did they let that pass opening scene. Regardless, I still love it, and Sharon Stone deserved the Oscar for her performance. Number 7, The Karate Kid. This movie set me up for disappointing cruel summers in which I never met Elizabeth Shue. Beyond that, I'm surprised at how well this movie held up. It's really awesome. It also introduced many of us to William Zabka as the quintessential 80s preppy jaunt bully. Speaking of which, if you haven't done so, definitely got to check out the YouTube video, Daniel is the Real Bully of the Karate Kid. Number 6, The NeverEnding Story. This should be required viewing for every kid, and if you didn't watch it as a child and then watch it for the first time as an adult, there's a chance that you might fall into the trap of mocking the corny parts, which is unfortunate because then you would miss the practical effects that are better than anything you'd see in Jurassic World. You'd miss the heartbreak over Artax, or the just true horror of the nothingness, or the pity that they look like such strong hands. Number 5, Wet Hot American Summer. I watched it again for the 10th or so time in preparation for the Netflix prequel series, and that ended up being kind of disappointing, the series, not the movie. I'm curious to hear if any of you watched it and if you thought the same. Regardless, the movie is still hilarious, and I'll admit it is kind of enhanced by the revelations of day one. Number 4, Big Hero 6. One of the best Disney movies of all time, and one of the best superhero movies. I'm sure many would disagree with one or both of those statements, but regardless, it's definitely worth watching at least once, and I actually enjoyed it more the second time around. Number 3, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. I've watched the first 30 to 60 minutes at least 100 times, no exaggeration. When it first came out on DVD, it was one of the movies in my rotation that I started almost every day between 4 and 4:30. There's just so many memorable scenes and characters, with many of the performances being my favorites of the actors involved. Number 2, The Goonies. If I had to pick one seminal movie from my childhood, this would be it. I've wanted to live in Astoria longer even than I could find Oregon on a map, so like 2 or 3 weeks. Up until a few months ago, this actually would have been number 1 on the list, but after this summer's viewings, it turns out that another childhood favorite from the same year holds up just a bit more. Number 1, Back to the Future. This movie is the reason I got a skateboard that year for my birthday. And I'm sure I'm biased, but it just seems like they no longer make quality live-action films with such a broad age range appeal. And I say that as someone who generally doesn't pine for the good old days. It's just excellent all around. The comedy, the action, the pacing, everything. It really is just near perfect. All right, that's it. As always, I would love to hear what you think, so if you would, let me know in the comments below, or you can connect with me on Twitter and Instagram at Chris Giddens. I'm curious to hear your comments about the movies I watched, if you've seen them, and I'm also curious to hear what movies did you watch this summer? The good, the bad, the ugly, not that movie specifically. Unless you watched it, you can let me know that too. Until next time, thanks for watching.